Welcome to the post show. Stay wild and listen. Episode 27.
Hey guys. This week we talk about the Batman trailer, and then we go on a Batman-related tangent for a solid 16 minutes, so strap yourselves in for that. Following that discussion, I talk about 86, the anime 86. I finally gave into the hype and checked that out, so I review the first couple of episodes of that and just give my thoughts on it. And then Grant did all of y'all a solid, and he checked out 4 of the new fall anime shows that have premiered. So he checked out a bunch of pilots, including My Senpai is Annoying, Vampire Dies in No Time, The Hiki Story, and Ranking of Kings. Following that, I give my review on the last Daniel Craig James Bond movie, No Time to Die, and then Grant gives his review on the very hard-hitting Paddington movie. From there, we get into all kinds of movie news and MCU news, Cowboy Bebop news, Mob Psycho, and much more before we close the show on Succession Season 3. Strap yourselves in. Enjoy. Oh, hey there, Grant.
Hey, Dave.
How you doing there, fella?
Oh, good.
I got beer all over me from cracking that just now. What are you going to do?
That's what happens.
Having
That's how excited we are. It's
yeah.
pod night. We're excited.
Happy to be here. Having a little Farmer's Daughter
Oh, yeah.
lager by Whitewater.
White water. That's a good one.
Yeah, I love it with Cool Whip. How's your week going?
It's good. Jam-packed.
I know. It feels like last post show we did, just with our schedule, we didn't get a chance to watch a ton of stuff. And this
Coincidentally,
time,
the same stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
And this time, I feel like it feels like it's been a long time. I feel like I've got so much to talk to you about.
In contrast, like comparing like what was talked about last week to now, it's just gonna. It feels like we're going grocery shopping versus like popping out to grab one thing. We got everything in the cart. I feel tonight, so I'm excited.
I agree. Okay. Oh God, how do we start? I don't even know.
I know exactly how we're gonna start this.
You go.
The motherfucking Batman trailer.
Oh yes.
How? Like, I don't know about you, because I don't think we've actually had, at least on the podcast, but Robert Pattinson, at no point was I ever like, that's not going to work. I just, from the get-go, they made that announcement of him being Bruce Wayne and Batman, I was like, yeah, I get that. And this trailer kind of just did a little bit of solidifying. Again, marketing and editing of trailers and all that, but I came out of that like 2.5 minutes of, yeah, let's go.
It's a hell of a trailer. It's very, very strong trailer. On Robert Pattinson, I remember it breaking, and I remember him kind of falling off the radar, but I knew he was actively working. Like that, he did that movie very recently, The Lighthouse with Willem Dafoe, and obviously he was in Tenet, though that doesn't say much, but I knew he did those movies, and they were both relatively well received. But then I also knew he was on like this indie movie circuit.
Oh yeah.
And it's funny. I've got all these movies to watch, and he's in like 3 of them. And none of them were huge, but they're all like very, very well received. And then I remember I obviously went to check what the internet was saying when the news of him being casted broke, and there were very few people out there doing the whole, not Edward from Twilight. Like, it seemed like the audience kind of knew that Robert Pattinson is the real deal these days.
I think we've grown, like, literally grown out of that. Like, that's literally 15, 20 years ago. And when you think about it, or maybe
probably
less.
A decade at least. Yeah. But I mean, it's also like the way he thought about the material kind of came out over the years, that he was like not too pleased with how thin the characters were and all that. Sure. And then he goes on this huge indie film binge, and anyway, yes, very capable actor, but it's not just about him. I think the biggest story from the trailer for me is the tone. At least the tone they set in the trailer.
I will say, like, it is very edgy.
Yes.
And I hope it's just not, just a full, like, 2.5 hour romp of that.
Yeah.
I would like some I don't even know how to describe it. Like, just some moments of breath in this. I
Yeah.
hope this is not just like a roller coaster ride from beginning to end. Like, some of the best parts of the Batman movies over the years are when it can slow down with Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, the Bruce Wayne part of the Batman is so important.
Obviously, like, it's, that's the dichotomy of the character, but I don't get any of that from this movie. All I've seen is more of like Alfred begging for him to stop, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna do what I want. I'm seeing a lot of Christian Bale in this.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
More Christian Bale and Nolan inspired than Ben Affleck. Not a bad way if you have to lean, but you also want it to be its own thing, right? The Christian Bale one for me, and I don't know if this is a hot take, and I don't know where other people sit, but I really liked Christian Bale's Bruce Wayne. As much as I liked his Batman, maybe more, because I liked the like the carelessness of the character, but like how he puts it on for people. But then there's lots of really fun scenes of him doing investigative work and putting stuff together in a lab, and obviously that's Bruce Wayne, right? But I thought that they pulled that off really well in the Nolan movies.
Yeah.
And like you said, you don't see a lot of Bruce Wayne in this trailer. That said, it is a trailer.
Yeah.
Is this like the youngest guy to have played him? No.
So I read this today. Robert Pattinson is when the role was announced that he was playing it, he was older than when Christian Bale was announced for the role.
Wow, that is so hard to believe.
I know, because Christian Bale looks like he's always looked like a 40-year-old man.
Yeah, like a very fit,
Yeah.
good-looking 40-year-old, but still, Christian Bale's looked like an adult forever. Robert Pattinson still has and I'm not saying this to discredit him, but he still kind of screams like teen heartthrob in a way. Like,
Absolutely, the man is. I'm not afraid to say it. The man is fucking gorgeous.
yeah, that's how old is he then? He's over 30, I take it.
I would imagine he's in his late 30s.
Late 30? Oh my god.
Yeah, I don't know. That's crazy.
great.
Like I said, I read on the internet. Could be wrong. Could be have a skewed detail, but I'm
How old
pretty
is
sure.
Robert Pattinson?
My guess, I don't know. Late
35. I just asked the computer. 35.
35. There you go.
Okay. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Still older than I thought. He does look good. It's just like the way they're doing his hair and all that. Like Christian Bale, you look at Christian Bale and you're like, yeah, absolutely. This is a guy who runs a company that he inherited. You know what I mean? Like because he looks like that. Robert Pattinson doesn't quite. Anyway, whatever.
So far that we know of.
Exactly. This is the curse of Batman, right? You get compared to your predecessor no matter what. And yeah, it'd be really interesting to see them do their own thing and what that looks like. Is it true that the guy playing Penguin is Colin Farrell?
Fucking A.
What kind of fat suit, fit makeup do they have on him?
I can't wait. He's what I'm most excited for this movie.
Even the voice acting he's doing, like the voice he's using.
There is one line in the trailer that is so clearly Colin Farrell.
Oh, really? Like does
in
his
a good
accent
way.
leak out?
It's not his accent, but maybe just like the way it's almost like you've heard him recite a line in a similar cadence in a movie before. It's kind of like his speed, and obviously I know it's him. So like when I heard it, I was like, oh well, yeah, that kind of seals it in. But it's and also who's the Riddler? It's Paul Dano. Never been a fan of his. Like I know he's a big deal, and I know he's in like all these amazing Oscar performance movies.
It's funny. The only thing I've seen him in is Ben Stiller's series on Crave and maybe HBO. I don't know. Escape at Dannemora. That it's that true story miniseries about the two prisoners that broke out of a prison in Syracuse and tried to get to Canada. And maybe they did. No spoilers.
Yeah, I remember when that happened.
It's actually it's him, Benicio del Toro, and Patricia Arquette, and it's very good. And it was like Ben Stiller's, not his directorial debut, but it might have been his directorial debut for a series. He won a bunch of awards. It is the first and only thing I've ever seen Paul Dano in, and he was good. But I know that people love him in other shit, but I don't know what else he's been in.
Have you not seen There Will Be Blood?
Oh, yes. I think I told you. I was on this binge of like classic movies I haven't seen.
Okay.
And I'm halfway in, and my dear, dear girlfriend looks at me and she goes, I just can't with this.
That movie is dense.
Yeah.
Like,
She's like, do we have to? And I was like, I think he's made up both of our minds. Like, I was in it and I was like, okay, where is this going? It is dense, but, I also haven't seen a ton of, there's a starring role, the guy who wins all the fucking Oscars and then says he quits acting.
Oh, Daniel Day-Lewis.
Yeah, and I was like, what's the deal with Daniel Day-Lewis? Seinfeld style. And then, I was like, all right, just inject him, don't give me like a Daniel Day-Lewis appetizer. Give me like the main course. That is where will be blood. There will be blood. People love that movie and him in it. So that's why I turned it on. Didn't make it through the whole thing. Never went back. I owe myself the opportunity to do that. But you're right. I completely forgot that Paul Dano was in that shit. So anyway, all of that to say, he's the Riddler. You're not hot on him. I have a relatively small sample size. So
because that's what I'm curious of. Like, he does creepy well. Because I think he was... Did you see Prisoners with Jake Gyllenhaal and Hugh Jackman?
Holy shit, that was him too.
Yeah, he was in that. And I liked him in that.
Creepy.
Because he
right
had,
like,
that. The innocence, like whether it was a disability or whatever his case was, That
was a disturbing movie, yeah.
It was like the prequel to this. It feels like Prisoners is the prequel to Batman. Like, it's set in the same universe. But
that was Denis Villeneuve too.
Yeah.
Denis Villeneuve.
Denis.
Anyway, okay, Paul Dano, Riddler. Was it true? I don't know. You never know with these kinds of things. I heard they really wanted Jonah Hill for the Riddler and couldn't afford him because he was like, I want $20 million.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know if that's bullshit or not, but I gotta say, I don't really see Jonah Hill as the Riddler, so I'm kind of glad.
At least not this version of the Riddler.
Yeah, not this version of the Riddler. They did a good job of not showing him.
Yeah.
I wonder. See, I'm not big into the comics or the animated series. The Riddler, I think of Jim Carrey, and I don't have super fond memories of that. I'm just trying to think of, like, is this Riddler going to be almost Joker-esque, and will that be tired because there's been so much of the Joker as of late? Like,
well, I think
they do have quite a bit in common, no?
Yes and no. This is definitely, like, in tone, they're going for, like, the very macabre and, like, very, very dark side of the Riddler. But I think if they can have that, but if they can also keep, without sounding like, fucking obvious, like, the riddling stuff, like, the mystery, the investigations that is going to take place, I think, because we've been kind of missing that over the Batman movies over the years. Like, he's just like a juggernaut that smashes people. You don't see too much of, like, him being the world's greatest detective.
Yeah.
So the Riddler is a good vice to that. If they can nail that stuff, I'm seeing like this is like a Saw movie more than anything. You know what I mean? Like, some intricate traps and whatnot, and an underlying mystery. So I am excited for it. I'm really excited for this movie.
Yeah.
March 2, it's close.
Yeah, it's not far away. I guess what I was thinking in my head, I was like thinking of The Dark Knight and how the Joker in that movie constantly left them clues. Like, they were pretty dark clues. But I was like, is this going to be very reminiscent of that? Like, how he would leave clues with fingerprints and he would tell them what they're doing. You know what I mean? Like, it's very tricky stuff, which is kind of Ridley-ish.
Yeah, could be that. Maybe they tried to consolidate some elements from other characters. I don't know. It's the thing with Batman at this point is it's just so fucking silly to try and sit down and think about it.
Yeah.
I think they're at that place now where it's almost like, just stuff your face with popcorn and just take it, at face value.
Is this too soon of a reboot?
No,
coming off
I don't
Affleck?
think so.
No?
No, they're trying to get so far away from all that.
Yeah. Well, I remember this movie was supposed to be Ben Affleck, and it just fell apart one piece at a time. Do you remember all that?
No, I don't.
Oh, dude, the history behind this movie is very interesting. So, Batman vs Superman comes out. It gets mixed reviews, to say the least. Then Ben Affleck says, Warner Brothers said I can write, direct, and star in my own Batman movie. And so he says, I will do that. And then he's asked about it for a year. When's the Batman movie coming out? When's the Batman movie coming out? Sorry, there was a hail of bullets just now. I escaped them. I'm fine. But eventually he falls out and says, I'm not going to direct it. I want to focus on the writing. So I'm going to get my friend Matt Reeves to direct it.
Matt Reeves is making this?
Yeah. So,
I love those Planet of the Apes movies.
Yeah. So all that happens, and then he falls out. This took years. Like, originally he was gonna write, star, direct. Then he says, "I'm falling out. I'm gonna get my friend to direct." And then eventually, he says, "I don't know if I'm gonna write it. I'm gonna writers do that, so I can just focus on the performance." And then finally, he's like, "Yeah, I'm not gonna do this shit."
What?
And then Robert Pattinson. But yeah,
Jeez.
that's the origin of the whole movie. So yeah, but Matt Reeves, legit.
Yeah,
Clearly, the trailer is a fucking vibe.
Yeah.
Robert Pattinson has a genuine shot to be have maybe a better take on Batman than Ben Affleck. I hesitate to say better because it's a role that you kind of make your own if the studio lets you. So we'll see.
And I can't speak on Ben Affleck because I haven't seen a single one of his Batman movies. So
what?
Yeah, I've never once seen him on screen playing the character.
No, you've seen Batman versus Superman.
No, I'm not.
Are you sure?
Absolutely.
You haven't seen any of the Zack Snyder movies.
We have talked about this very early on in the podcast. Like, I've seen Wonder Woman, like 20 minutes of Wonder Woman. I saw the first Superman movie and Suicide Squads.
Well, he makes a cameo in Suicide Squad, so...
Does he really?
Yeah. He arrests Will Smith. Sorry, bro. In the beginning, yeah.
Oh.
That's why Will Smith is in prison.
Okay, well, okay.
So
I've seen half a second of this character.
Your entire existence is a lie. Nah, you're not missing much. It's tough, man. Yeah, I'm not gonna harp on that. Anyway, we're both very amped for the Batman. I love that they're calling it the Batman, by the way.
So good.
Fucking
Separating
nightmares.
it. They're separating it. Weird little things, like little details to separate it from everything else.
It's also such a pain in the ass that, like, what a fucking mess the DCEU is. They do do you remember the proposition of the Joker movie coming out when it was the guy who won the Oscar, the second guy to win the Oscar? The most recent Joker movie came out. Joaquin Joker came out, and they said, we're doing a standalone Joker movie, and they said that after Suicide Squad came out. It's like, wait, what? You own the rights to the character, you're going to have him exist in this universe, then you're going to do a different one which isn't connected to this universe, and it's played by a different guy, and it was clearly because they wanted nothing to do with that shit, right? Like, they wanted to make their own thing in a bottle. That's fine. That movie ended up slapping, so everybody wins. Won them an Oscar, right? So that's great. But I'm pretty sure this is the exact same thing. This is not going to be connected to the DCEU in any way, shape, or form. What the power move here would be, do really well with this movie, create some hype, bring back Joaquin.
Wow.
But that would be, like, if that happened, man, it would be like 6 or 7 years removed from Joaquin's movie. Like, the timing, it wouldn't feel rushed.
No.
It could be possible.
I would like to see that. Like, say what you want about that movie. Like, I at its base levels, I did like the Joker, but
no, me too.
The world's, from what they're teasing with this new movie, and I swear, everyone, we are going to move on from Batman in a moment, but the tone Joker clearly had, and the tone they're setting in these trailers for the Batman is there's some simpatico going on. Like, coincidentally, whether it's coincidental or not. So
yeah. Anyway, okay, I am debating if I want to stay in the live action category,
okay,
or if we want to move into anime. Give the people a break for a minute from real life. Okay.
Yeah, let's hit some anime.
Anime it is. I finally checked out this anime that has been serving me ads via Crunchyroll and everywhere else possible, and Reddit and whatever. 86.
Okay, interesting.
Yes.
I am excited.
So it's funny because I feel like we'll probably talk about Vivi Fluorite at some point today or in this podcast, but it reminds me a lot of Vivi Fluorite.
I remember they came out at the exact same time. Like, they both dropped the same week.
Yeah. So it's tricky because, like, a lot of the themes are sort of similar in that it's futuristic, it's cyberpunk, and there's an element of AI. But like, it sort of ends there. It's a kind of a post-apocalyptic future. I'm only 2 episodes in, but like a lot of the vibes are the same. Like it you know, like it's not as well drawn, but it's pretty steady. It's
Sure.
it's pretty solid. And when there are action scenes, they're usually backed by like a pretty good soundtrack. Also, like Vivi, obviously, like Vivi, that show, the singing is front and center. So, you know, it's not obviously like that, but it's just like, you know, good music while there's fun action on screen.
Sure.
A lot of the action is done. I'm not going to spoil any plot points, but a lot of the action is done using like mechs.
Okay.
But not the kind of mechs you think of when you think of Gundam or Neon Genesis or anything like that. They're like, I don't know if they're completely original, but I haven't seen them like this before. They're like personalized little tanks, but with like spider legs.
Oh.
They're kind of weird to look at, but anyway, it's interesting. I don't know why, but I just from the poster art and like from the ads and just the stuff that I was seeing, I had a feeling this show was going to be like maybe a little juvenile or a little young.
Sure.
Or what? I'm not really seeing that so far. It's more mature than I thought it would be. So anyway, I'm interested, and like it might be coming at a good time because we might be wrapping up a couple things. Sorry for the noise. But yeah, we might be wrapping up some other shows, so I think I'm probably going to continue checking it out. So
Nice.
86.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I'll kind of take the torch there because Leanne and I completed a gauntlet last night. All these new fall shows are coming out, like all within the past like week or two. I think I was reading somewhere that this fall season there's going to be over 40 shows dropping between all the various new shows or new IPs or sequel seasons, all that stuff, like within the next couple of weeks. So I went over some lists, found some stuff, and last night we watched 4 first episodes of new shows.
Holy shit.
Yeah, just to see all the ones that people are talking about and see the ones that stick and if we want to follow with them, because we kind of like need a new show. Like, you know, Demon Slayer is week to week now. You know, I've kind of fully merged into watching Naruto with Leanna. So, like, you know, it's great. It's good shit. I have made the promise, like, I'm going to be coming and going during Naruto, but when it gets to the sequel series, like Shippuden there, I'll do each episode. Like, I'm in it for the slog. But, so anyway, so the 4 shows we watched last night, no genres that are even remotely in our wheelhouse. Pretty much all comedies with the exception of, actually 2, half of them. So anyways, so we had My Senpai is Annoying, comedy. Vampire Dies in No Time, comedy. Hiki Story, and Ranking of Kings. So
what was Hiki Story?
The Hiki Story. So
Hiki Story.
Well, I guess we'll start off with that because I think it's one of the 2 that I think you would very much dig. So Hiki Story has, funny enough, it reminds me of Sunny Boy, just in that the art style is, it's meant to look like those old, you know, Japanese paintings, like war paintings. So I guess the Hiki Story, it's a famous real story that's told, like everyone in Japan knows it, about, I think it's an orphan girl and something to do with like a clan, like a powerful clan somewhere in Japan, like, you know, hundreds of years ago or whatever. And this is just another, you know, retelling of the story using this little girl. She has like mind powers, like she can see into the future.
Okay. And
she meets like essentially this, I'm assuming it's kind of hard to tell because I had a couple gripes with this episode. Animation, it is remarkable. It is tremendous. Really? You have to check this.
Is this what reminded you of Sunny Boy, the animation style, or is it the story?
Animation style and the storytelling. It's very much doing its own thing, and it's not vague to be vague, but vague for intentional purposes because they're telling the story they want to.
Yeah.
In Sunny Boy, that was exactly, you know, that's what they did for, you know, 12 episodes or 11 episodes. So anyway, so Hiki Story, like I said, really cool, unique animation. I'm just going to try and get through all 4 of these because there's a lot to talk about. But
yeah.
Pretty much what I gathered from this first episode, this girl has powers. She can see into the future. She's trying to get back at this clan because they kind of just murdered her father in the street. He was like a blind man. And coincidentally, she ends up in the company of the family of said clan, who's like running these warmongers. You can clearly tell like this father of this general is trying to change his ways a little bit.
Yeah.
And he coincidentally also has a unique power. Both their eyes are discolored in the exact same way. And whenever they put their hand over their eyes, like they kind of trigger their power. And so he can see spirits of dead people. And so so by the end of the episode, they're kind of like both revealing they have powers and they're communicating. I think this is going to be an epic, like when the battles go off on this thing, I think it's going to be like, I think the show is going to be fucking huge. Like
Interesting.
Genuinely, like it's a really big deal.
And it's new fall show, so there's only the one episode out?
There's only the one episode out right now.
Where'd you watch it?
All of these are on Funimation only.
Nice, okay.
So the next one is Vampire Dies in No Time.
Yep.
That was we're good, thanks. It's and not for like the reasons you would think. It's just it's clearly a comedy. The setup is there's a vampire. He's chalked up to be this super progenitor vampire, like he's all powerful. So this so-called famous vampire hunter goes to stop him, like literally just like looking at him the wrong way. The guy turns to sand, like he's a total wimp. People just like pumped him up to be bigger than he is, and it ends up being like a roommate comedy by the end of the episode.
Interesting.
So it's funny, and like the animation style is like it's good, like it's nothing to cry home about yet in the first episode. It's just it was yelling, it was characters screaming on the top of their lungs for the entire 23 minutes, and Leanna just looked at each other like we can't do
not our
an episode. It's just not us. Like the thing is too, like the things they were saying were really funny. There was a couple moments where I laughed out loud. Like I thought it was genuinely really funny writing, but just not at that volume.
Yeah.
And like nonstop. And I there's always a chance to try another episode or two later just to see, but I genuinely believe it's going to continue at this pace. Like But yeah, so that was Vampire Dies in No Time. The next one is My Senpai is Annoying.
Yep.
Office romance comedy, like slice of life.
Okay.
Both Leanne and I loved it. We were like laughing the whole time. I wouldn't say it's your show. It doesn't have. It's just very like wholesome and fun. Like it reminds me of The Office. Funny enough, like there's all these like random characters that kind of come and go. They slowly introduce them in little bits throughout the first episode. This is the only one we've watched the second episode of, and like they've just slowly introduced more characters. And they're filling out the office staff, and there's like clearly like this budding relationship between these two characters, and it's not cringy, but it's like clearly like a romance, and I think a lot of these are kind of like that. There's just like how like a character will just get shy with each other, and then like they change the tone of the music, and you're like, oh, I can't tell if this is going to be weird or not, and then it doesn't end up being weird. Yeah. It's just characters being nervous. So there's a couple things that we're not used to with this show, but again, we genuinely were laughing like all the episodes. They're really good so far.
You can get that when you switch genres, right? Like in a medium like anime, like that happens to me. Like you're just not used to it and the way the beats work sometimes, which is why I don't watch a ton of stuff like that in anime. But yeah, that makes sense. But
it is really good. It gives. I was telling Leanna last night. It actually reminds me of the good elements of, some of my favorite elements of Ms. Kobayashi's Dragon Maid, like just the genuine, heartfelt moments between characters. Like there's like real things they talk about, and it's not. And then there's all the other extra like over the top stuff, but the grounded stuff is really, really good, like very lifelike. And this show has a lot of that. And no, full pun intended. The king of these 4 shows that I watched is The Ranking of Kings. This is Wit Studio.
Oh, okay. So I'll watch it.
Yeah, it is. It looks like a Ghibli movie in the show. Like the animation is beautiful. It's very unique character designs. It reminds me of. It's like an old animation style, like the way of drawing characters. Like not everything is so sharp. Everything, there's more roundness to them. And it kind of like chibi-like in a weird way.
Yeah.
But like I said, so it kind of has like Chibi meets Ghibli, and yeah, it tells the story of this deaf and mute prince who, he's the heir to this kingdom, and they've clearly set up like a king ranking system. Like his father is rank 7 king in the world, and it's based on like power and like strength and all that. So I'm like, oh, we're gonna eventually get like a tournament arc of some sort.
Of course.
Like
that's why you rank things.
It's just the things they've set up, and awesome animation. They've set up like the kid can't talk, right? Like he literally just like chirps like a bird at people.
That's
and
interesting.
At first I was kind of like, oh, where is this gonna go? And then they introduce, who they kind of set up as like the foil, but ends up becoming like the companion and the friend to the character. He's essentially just a shadow. Like he doesn't have a body. He's just a shadow that moves along the ground, and he has eyes and like a little arm.
Only in anime.
Only in anime. Very good voice acting in this. Out of all these shows have very good voice acting. But this was, it's just the attention to detail. And then, they end the episode with just a cool fight scene. It's always nice when they can make a fight scene that's not over the top and like bloody, and it's just two kids having a duel, and just what they can do in like 30 seconds. I was like, fuck, this show has got it on lock. Like it's just Wit Studio just crushing. Like, it's
Wit Studio doing Wit Studio things.
Yeah, and this is what I'm saying. Like we were talking last week how, after that episode of Vivi, I was like, I think this is just flat out my favorite studio. Like everything I've seen by them, I rank among the highest of what I've watched ever, And just watching this, I was like, it gives me To Your Eternity vibes, not in like the story beats, but just how they're slowly going to collect these characters, like wholesome characters, just kind of all help uplift each other.
Okay.
So it's I don't know, watch it for sure. If there's two, I 100% I just know you so well. Hiki Story is so up your fucking alley.
How do you spell that?
Hiki? Yeah, I might be mispronouncing it. It's Heike.
Okay, Heike. Yeah.
But
no,
yeah.
I'll check it out. I'll check it out.
Yeah, so we watched a ton of anime. Yeah. It was a lot of fun. It was kind of a fun experiment just to see, like, all this stuff is coming out. It was kind of nice going through the list of stuff that have come out and is coming out. There's one show next week that's coming out that I'm really excited for. Comey Can't Communicate. It's coming to Netflix.
Oh, interesting.
And also I wanted to watch that Blue Period show, but we couldn't get around to that.
I saw some of the infographics like on Reddit of like, here's all the stuff that's coming out. It's like, oh my god, this is so much investment. I'm gonna hope I love it. Grant fights the good fight for me and just tells me what to watch.
I'm in the trenches on this one, dude, and I had so much fun just trying. It was just going in saying, well, it's just one. If I don't like it, I don't like it. If I love it, I got something nice. It was fun. We really enjoyed it.
That does sound fun. That sounds like a fun, like, because anime's like the barrier to entry is low, right? Like that probably took like 2 hours or less. Or not even, because they're like 20-minute episodes, so you can sort of burn through everything. So yeah, that's pretty tight, man.
Yeah, it was fun.
Your favorite, is it Ranking of Kings, or is it the Hiki Story?
No, it's definitely Ranking of Kings, but I think Hiki Story, I'm going to have to rewatch that first episode because it is so dense, and they are trying to get a lot of backstory out in that first episode, but really trying to like not affect the story. You know what I mean? Like they're not trying to cut corners, but they also have to jam pack this stuff in at the same time. So it's a bit of the first episode feels like a bit of a tightrope walk.
Pilots are hard.
Very hard. And it's a strong pilot for sure. Like they set up all the rules of the powers and the world and clearly who's going to be a villain, and it's very brutal. Like it's very real. And again, this is a theme of we've been liking shows where the worlds themselves are fucking outrageous, but everything is so grounded. Yeah. And they just work in tandem together. And Hiki Story is it's screaming that out again. Like I said, I think you'll really dig it.
I think I will give it a spin sooner rather than later. Yeah. I think I'm going to wrap up Vivi, which we will talk about shortly. And then, maybe 86, and then need a new show because we still have some movies to watch, but still got some time to kill between Demon Slayer and then Attack on Titan in January. Okay, before we get to Vivi, which I think we should, I want to talk about what movie I watched. I don't always get to, right? But like for the listener, I've been trying to watch a movie a week. I've got like a 50% hit rate at this point. But this one's good because it's a movie that is in theaters. So I saw James Bond, No Time to Die.
Okay.
So,
what are you thinking?
So, I won't spoil any kind of plot points, but, if you're listening to this and you want to go in, like, completely blind, then maybe don't, because I will talk a little bit about tone and, just what I thought. But I'm not going to spoil anything for you, Grant, obviously.
Okay, yeah.
I will preface this by saying, first, I was in a Bond mood the week before I saw it, so I rewatched Spectre, which I highly recommend everyone does before seeing this, because it is a much more of a sequential movie than past Bonds. And I also watched the James Bond documentary. I think it's just called Daniel Craig Being James Bond. I think it's on Apple TV. It's like 50 minutes or something. Not required watching whatsoever, but if you still have a Bond itch after seeing the movie, there's more Bond content out there for you. It's basically just like him and the two people that manage the rights for Bond, the executive producers.
The Broccoli's?
Yeah, talking about, they spend like 15 minutes per movie. Here's what was the story about Casino Royale. Here's what really happened. Same idea with Quantum and so on and so forth. So it is kind of interesting to hear them all be candid and have fun with it. Okay, main course. The actual Bond movie. So it was good. I liked it. I will say that. I recommend that you watch it if you're a James Bond fan. The standouts for me were that it has a hell of a soundtrack.
Okay.
Really great soundtrack. I think it's Hans Zimmer. Crushed it. It felt like they may have been inspired by, and you never know if you're looking for things sometimes in movies, but in my brain, I remember in some action sequences being like, I wonder if they saw those John Wick movies and were like, we should do less shaky cam and less cuts. Now, they were never the worst with that. I think probably the worst is like the Taken movies and maybe the Bourne trilogies.
Yeah.
But they were never that bad. But it just feels like there's more wide, sweeping shots, both in general and also in action scenes. Mm-hmm. So I appreciated that. Some amazing cinematography, amazing stunt work, amazing set pieces. Rami Malek is decent. His performance is good. I have some thoughts on the villain, but it's hard to not give anything away. So I'll just say, the villain is okay. Scene stealer of the whole movie, Ana de Armas. The Spanish actor. I think she was, sort of looked at as like the Bond girl of the movie.
Okay.
But I would definitely say she's more than that. But I don't want to spoil anything. But every scene she's in, I think she completely steals. I think it's designed to be that way. I don't know if they have any intentions to do anything with her. But I'm not saying that. Like I mean that. We may never see her again. But regardless, she was great. I read that they brought in Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Have you seen Fleabag, Grant?
No, I haven't.
So, have you heard of it?
I have heard of it, yeah. I know who you are. I know who you're talking about.
Okay, yeah. So, I read that they brought her in to help, punch up the script. And then there was, all this news about, they're bringing her in because she's a lady. And, they were making this movie during Me Too, and they wanted to, punch up the female characters to make them more modern.
Which, let's put a pin in that, or let's take a moment with that. They did need that. Those movies are pretty gross.
Yeah. But it is funny to me that, they're like, all right, we've made 30 of these movies, but now we have to, whatever. My take on the whole thing was I'm going to reserve judgment and just see how it turns out, because I agree with you in that, some of it is a little deplorable and disposable in the way they treat a lot of characters, and obviously, and especially women in a lot of the Bond films, is a little ridiculous, right? Mm-hmm. And it probably needs some maturing. That said, when you see movies like, I don't know, Ghostbusters or Ocean's 8, it feels corporate and forced because it is. Yeah. And I think audiences can tell the difference between authenticity and nuance, and then just doing something for the points. And I'm happy to say this movie didn't feel like that at all at any point. I don't know if that's all a result of Phoebe Waller-Bridge or if it's just a valiant effort on everyone's part, but like these characters are three-dimensional and mature, and yeah, it went very well. So, and Anime Armas is a big part of that.
I remember reading about, I don't know if it was Knives Out first and then No Time to Die, or if it was No Time to Die and then Knives Out first, but Daniel Craig, he had filmed with her and was like, hey, this next movie I'm doing, you're coming with it. Like, he forced her into the other movie based on his experience with her. I remember reading that.
Grant, Fleabag is unbelievable. Like, it is fantastic.
I'm talking about Ana de Armas, not necessarily.
Whoops.
Yeah,
My
but
bad.
I have heard great things about Fleabag. It's been sitting in my watch list for a long time.
Yeah, but yeah, her performance was excellent, and yeah, as far as Phoebe Waller-Bridge goes, Fleabag was outstanding. I think the thing with Fleabag, that random tangent that fucks me up about that, is like that show was a one-woman play she was doing for a long time, and then and she got a greenlit a series, and it did really well, and like won all the awards. And then this is the trap, right? Like, this is what happens to writers and to creators, right? Is they spend a decade on the first movie or the first show, and it does well, and then the studio goes, here's more money, do the next one, but you only have a year. And then it oftentimes it doesn't come out as hot, right? And people wonder why, but that's why. The crazy thing about Fleabag is they did that, and she didn't, apparently it was hard to convince, and decided, okay, I'll do a season 2, but that's it. And it crushed. Like, it was fantastic. So, anyway, evidence of her writing, I think, is a little bit in this movie. I have some other thoughts, but I'm trying to think if they are at all. I'm going to try to stay away from anything even potentially spoiler related.
I had no spoilers, but I had, like, it's so hard with, just the way media is now. They're, the movie's out for a day and they're like, oh, well, this is what's most likely going to happen in the next one, and I've seen a lot of that. Like, I'm getting the vibe that something's teed up in this movie. So, I don't know. I'm curious to see. I'm going to go see it next week. So,
I mean, it's not a spoiler because a lot of franchises do this.
Well,
literally all the time, where they like potentially leave a door open for something, right? But but that has it's you and I we've grown up with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, right?
Yeah.
Where you don't have to tee shit up. You don't always need an after credits sequence, right? It's just like you have a character that audiences respond well to, and all of a sudden that character now has their own movie. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's the vibe, if anything, that I get. Like, they could do stuff if they wanted, but like, I don't know. Nothing to me felt blatant. Blatant like a Marvel movie being like, okay, now that Loki's done this, you are forced to see the next movie. This is like very much a James Bond, Daniel Craig movie, and it's not forcing anything else down your throat. So bear that in mind.
Right.
Lastly, probably his most, I don't want to say definitive Daniel Craig or James Bond performance, but tonally different, I'll say. And lastly, they lean a little bit into campy stuff, which I think, like, he has been pretty public about. Like, when they started these movies, they were like, no, we're doing this. We're taking this fucking serious. No more exploding toothpaste. We don't want to inspire any more Austin Powers movies. Like, and then slowly they've, like, bled into the tech a little bit.
Sure.
They do that the most they've ever done, but even then, it's definitely not out of hand. So I think there's plenty there for classic Bond fans, for new Bond fans. And see it in the theater. Definitely see it in the theater.
That's the plan. I'm excited to see it. There's other stuff that I want to see right now and stuff that is coming out shortly, but there's something about seeing a James Bond movie in the theater. Like, I remember seeing Skyfall in the theater and just being fucking blown away. Like, it was stunning.
Yeah.
It was one of the most beautiful movies I had ever seen up until that point. Like, the cinematography in those movies are like the scenes in Scotland. Good God.
Yeah.
Like, the end of Skyfall.
Yeah, there's some breathtaking shots in this movie. I also will say, I remember the track coming up for this movie, the Billie Eilish track.
Oh, I didn't know she did the song for this.
Oh, you know this?
No.
I heard it and I was a little lukewarm on it, but as always, like, the title sequences in Bond films are so fun.
Yeah.
That it really worked for me. So that's Bond.
Look forward to that.
I pass it over to you, sir.
Well, we'll take a quick second. So we had, we do family movie nights all the time, but usually it's stuff that's we've seen before, But we saw an older movie. Corinne, Leanne, and I watched a movie called Paddington. Came out in like 2014, 2015. Actually, it's Q from James Bond is the bear, Ben Whishaw.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, the movie's just fucking hilarious. Like, I was shocked. The three of us were like absolutely hooting and hollering the entire time. And I've talked about this before. Like, kids movies, just because it's a kids movie doesn't make it any lesser. But the jokes they were fitting into this movie, and it reminded me of the older Harry Potter movies. Just like the effort into, or the good bridge between, CGI and practical effects and just, good set, like beautiful, like the house they're in is just very well made set. Has its own.
Was this on a streaming service, by the way?
Yeah, it was on Netflix.
Oh,
we're all trying to decide and what to watch, and it just kind of like we noticed it. I was like, oh, I'd heard about that. Like I think the goal that night was we couldn't watch a movie that any of us had seen. So we all had to like come to terms with one, none of us had seen, and Paddington kind of fit the bill for us, and we finished it and we're immediately like, is number 2 on here?
Oh, I didn't know there was more than one.
And apparently the second one's better. Like,
you always love to hear that.
I know, yeah. So really good actors, like lots. It's like Harry Potter or Doctor Who. Like everyone is in this movie. There's so many random like kind of cameos and whatnot. But I don't know. It was just a lot of fun. Like I could have watched that without. Just by myself, and I would have enjoyed myself. It was a lot of fun.
Paddington on Netflix, and Ben, what's his face?
Ben Whishaw. I think.
Ben Whishaw. Yeah, he's great as Q.
I liked him as Q.
Yeah. Quick review. Sorry. How about some news?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Well, I know what you want to talk about, so let's start with that. Let's get this out of our system. Mob Psycho greenlit for season 3.
Yeah, baby.
And as a man who has seen nearly an entire episode of Mob Psycho, I cannot tell you how excited I am for it.
Dave, this trailer rocked my socks.
I didn't even watch it.
No? Oh.
Well, I know that it's got the business, and I know I'm going to watch it. It's just that, not that I have the memory for it anyway. I was like, I really got to get through seasons 1 and 2. You know what I mean? I was but
easy runs. It's not. I think they're like 10 episodes a pop.
No,
like it's not a huge, maybe a little longer, but it's, and of course the announcement is official. We've been waiting 100 days, which is such a good slow burn marketing, because that's the whole, it's the theme of the show, the counter, like the counting of 100 in the show from episode to episode, like how far that meter has gone up by his stress.
So I didn't know they were doing that, like with the marketing campaign of doing 100. That is one of the cooler ones I've heard of.
Just simple. It wasn't like over the time. It just let everyone sit for 100 days to like mold. Because that was the thing too. Like, apparently, I think we've spoken about this before, but the manga, what is left to be adapted from the manga, people were worried there was not enough to even do a 10-episode season.
I believe you told me that, yeah.
So the rumors were, is it going to be a movie or is it going to be a season with some filler stuff? Like, because I think even in the first 2 seasons, there was 1 or 2 episodes that are anime only, but are also quite good. Like they fit the overall story, I believe. So, I was doing the reading on this, and I love when, like, the band has just been gathered the entire time. Like, all the major people from the first 2 seasons are involved in this. It's the same composer who apparently did I think he did Attack on Titan, or worked with Attack on Titan.
Oh, cool.
I might be misremembering. But anyways, all the same directors, like, producers, everyone has been involved from the beginning, and I think they get to go out and do like a swan song style. Like, this is going to be epic, when it needs to be epic. And then that's the nice thing about Mob Psycho is the slow, quiet, funny moments are just as important as the the duels and the fight scenes and the explosions and the mind powers. And
I really got to get around to watching this thing.
Oh, Dave, I genuinely believe you'll watch it and it'll be in like maybe not one of the faves, but it'll be in lasting memory for you. It's truly something special.
Doubt. Yeah, and it's not like that's the ironic part, is that it's not that I've watched it and decided I don't like it. It's that like I look at it and I'm like, yeah, I really got to watch this, and then I get just typical ADD shit. I would get distracted by something else because I'm a monster, and I'll be like, oh well, and so I could watch this critically acclaimed, Grant recommended show that seems to be universally loved. Or I could watch YouTubers react to Levi versus the Beast Titan. And I make the same choice.
When you're in the mood, you got to do what feels right.
Exactly. Okay, more news. Cowboy Bebop. You haven't even seen the original series, right?
No.
Okay, we will watch that. Maybe, we'll trade these. You can watch Cowboy and I'll watch Mob at one point or something.
Okay, all right, I agree to your terms.
But they put out a 2-minute... I don't even know if I would call it a trailer so much as it is like... And I don't think it's their opening either, because they were teasing like, oh, we're going to show the intro soon for the show. And the music for the show is a really big part of it. Like the soundtrack to the whole show, the OP is a really big deal. So they did this like live action reimagining of the anime intro called Cowboy Bebop: The Lost Sessions, and it's super creative. There are no spoilers in there, and I recommend you watch it. It's 2 minutes, and it's actually very promising. I was like really oddly impressed, especially because I think we both, just generally speaking, and if you're listening, like, I'm sure there are exceptions, but generally speaking, anime adaptations to live action doesn't always go well. So a lot of people are very nervous for how the show is going to go. And this was just like such a fun 2-minute skit where it's like, I don't even know how to explain it. It's like, those doors in Japanese houses they're like sliding doors that you can walk through. They're like made of paper. It's like that, but you're not sliding a paper door shut. It's like you're sliding a filter of color over a character. Oh. And all 3 of the characters have their own filter of color on them, but they can interact with the bar that moves that filter backwards and forwards. So like you'll have John Cho in a blue filter, and he'll like grab it and break the 4th wall, and he'll drag it to bring a different character into the blue filter with him. I don't know. It was a really, really neat exercise. I think it'd be one of those cool things to see, like the behind the scenes, how the hell they filmed that. Because they even grabbed the filter out of real space, and now it's a pipe that he can use to fight bad guys with. Oh. It's very interesting. Like, I was like, wow, what a weirdly creative thing to do. I can't imagine this is going to be in any episode. It feels like they did this just for the sake of promotion. I could be wrong, but it's really neat. It came out today.
Oh, the video came out today, or the show came out today?
The video came out today.
Wait, is it a movie or a show they're doing?
I think it's a show.
Oh.
Imagine it's a movie and I'm wrong. I think it's a show. I'm like 13% sure it's a show. I'm 11% sure it's a show.
Is it soon? Like, do I have time to watch Cowboy Bebop?
I think it's this year.
Maybe I should work on that.
We'll follow
some
up
research
after
is to be done, yeah.
And then we'll talk about it next week on the post show if we're gonna watch it, because it would also be a fun one to cover here, like formally.
Yeah, you and I have been back and forth on Cowboy Bebop since we started this podcast. This is one of the first things we brought up,
because it's not short, but it's not long either. It's like 20 something, I think. But, like, we could do, like, a run at some point of, like, classic reviews. Like, we could review Full Metal Alchemist in certain parts or in groups. Oh, yeah. Or we could do Cowboy Bebop. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm going to watch the first episode tonight.
Of Cowboy?
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be fun, man.
Yeah, see.
Just to take a little. Oh, you might get hooked. Anyway, we'll see.
Yeah, probably.
Okay. We're going to round out the news here. Disney has started licensing anime. So, like, there will inevitably be anime on Disney Plus. Is that the net? Is that the bottom?
I think so. Yeah, that's what I took from it.
Okay, so not going to spend much more time on that. But yeah, I mean, that's good. I think, like, Star Wars Visions and, like, Disney doing that, I am for, because it spreads more anime around the world. I think you could you could take, like, a half glass empty approach and be like, oh, it's this giant company and they're infringing on our art form. Fuck off. And then lastly, this was the only other thing that I thought was worth mentioning. Did you see the news about the Marvel movie schedule shift?
Oh, all these delays.
Yeah,
I did see that.
pushing a very significant every movie that was scheduled basically for 2022 is still in 22, but pushed at typically about a season each. So Doctor Strange 2 previously dated March 25th, now May 6th. Thor 4 May 6th, pushed to July 8th. Black Panther July 8th.
That's a better summer movie.
Yeah. Black Panther July 8th moved to November 11th. The Marvels November 11th moved to the February of 23. So on and so basically they just pushed the whole schedule forward about a movie's worth of time.
I wonder what that's all about. I wonder if is that probably not reshooting. Do you think it's just trying to...
I think it's got to be COVID related. Like they're barely, like, James Bond is the first movie that is really doing decently, and even then, like, it's not going to make the money that it needs. To break even.
Do you hear about all the news about The Last Duel? How it's just fucking bombing.
No, is it really?
Because like no one, like, people aren't used to this type of... It came out this week or last week, this past Friday.
When you say bombing, you mean review wise or
no, financially?
Yeah,
the reviews are like very strong, and apparently it's one of Ridley Scott's best movies in years. Like I'm so excited.
So
It's so sad, and it's just like no one can do it.
Did they try and do it theaters only?
I don't know. I really don't know. I've only seen majority headlines. I read one article.
That sucks.
And it's just like, yeah, like, this movie is great. Twitter is just like, this movie is fucking awesome, but like no one can go see it. No one wants to risk it on like a period piece movie, like...
Yeah, dude, what do you go... Like, I remember last weekend when we went and saw Bond, it was like, what's in theaters? It was like Bond and Shang-Chi, and Last Duel wasn't there yet. And I was like, fuck this. I'm not seeing fucking... Like, I was like, it's Bond. I'm going to see Bond. Yeah. If there's anything else in theaters, I don't care. Yeah, no shit. People won't risk it on The Last Duel. That is a shame too.
It was crazy because I was working late one day this week, and not even on cheap night for the movie theater, but I was driving by, and I have not seen a parking lot that full at our movie theater since like 3 years pre-COVID, like 5 years ago.
Really?
And I was like, what the fuck are people watching? Like, I couldn't. It was like ripping over into like neighboring parking lots. It was packed. I was like, is this for James Bond? Maybe our hometown is like, diving into Last Duel. I hope so.
Yeah.
No, it wouldn't even been out yet. So yeah,
it's got to be Bond. Yeah.
Yeah, but
you hear about the because the movie was $300 million, which is a lot, but not unheard of.
Yeah. For
a movie that size. And then the marketing campaign money they blew because of COVID and promotion. But like, they have to make something like $800 to $900 million to break even on that film.
Wow.
But it got bought by MGM. Got bought by Amazon anyway, right? So.
Oh, that's true.
Anyway.
Bezos.
Fucking Bezos. Okay, Jesus, that is all the news, and we're like coming up on an hour. But you best believe we're gonna talk about vivi.
I got some. I have not watched since episode 9.
I'm gonna beat you to death. I'm gonna beat you to death in front of your family. I cannot believe I have brought up Vivi 5 times in this fucking podcast. You've honey-dicked me and the listener.
You want to interrupt?
You couldn't say...
I do it enough.
You couldn't say, I haven't watched since last week.
Yeah.
Well, I am so mad. I have so many notes.
I know. So the problem is, like, I need to give Vivi my attention.
Yeah.
And there was no time to sit down and just dive into Vivi. So I know. But it's great, I imagine. Or is it probably
it's great, I imagine. Yes, that's the content
I was looking
for. No, I got to 11.
Okay.
So I will give you a major pro tip, and I bet you knew this, but there are after credit scenes on like several episodes, and I didn't know that.
Okay.
So
shit.
Yeah, right. Remember we were both a little bit confused about something in episode 9 or 8.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, a lot of it is made more clear in these fucking after credit scenes. So I don't know. Google it at your own risk. But I will also say, man, I just remembered. I wish I had not. I wish I had. But I was talking to you about how many episodes there are. But I was looking at it, and there are only 13. But I thought you had said there were 14, so I googled it. I don't know. You may have said that. You may not have. It doesn't matter. The point is,
I do remember saying that. Yeah.
I fucking googled it. One, there are 13. But two, more importantly, there's all these FAQs on the front page of Google. Why did blank and blank happen in Vivi? You know what I mean? I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me.
Dave.
So I only saw one, and it was a spoiler. But like, what are you gonna do? It wasn't. It wasn't like I got everything spoiled. I saw a spoiler. We'll see how big it ends up being. First world problems, whatever.
Sure.
Pain in the ass though. But yeah, there for the record, after credits, at least on episode 8. Check that out. There's also after credits on episode 10. I'm assuming there must be some, or there might be some earlier, because I only started looking for the recent ones, and there's only 13. So yeah,
I wish I think this is a problem with not the shows themselves, but more the apps that are running or providing the content to us, whether it's Crunchyroll or Funimation. I wish there was a little more clarity as to how long I should keep on watching. Because it's Netflix. Netflix is good for, like it just automatically shoots you off to the next one.
Yeah. Oh, you're right about that. And they don't if there's an after credits or like there's like a whole thing they do.
So like that's, that would be key. Obviously, I'm sure that's expensive to, include that into all their players or whatnot. They probably have to do that for every single show. Like there has to be a record, like a log of all that stuff. But it's weird. Like I find Crunchyroll and Funimation, like right before the credits end, that's when it kicks you in. So if there is that little extra scene, sometimes you're in the middle of that post-credit scene, and then it shoots off to the next episode.
Yeah,
like it doesn't have the sense to like just let it run for like 6 more seconds. But it's I should go back and watch those actually.
Or yeah, definitely. Shit, I had a point. I don't know where it went. Something about Vivi, Crunchyroll. I don't know. Yeah, those apps need a little bit of polishing, just sort of all around, I think. Did you have anything else for this week?
Just Succession's back.
Yes.
Awesome. I know you and I had spoke. You're waiting to watch it with the missus.
Yeah.
And all I can say is I don't think you guys will be disappointed.
Cool.
This episode just continues to display how talented that writing room is for the show and how savage they are at jokes. And I have not seen cringe done so well on a show since like the best episodes of The Office.
Really?
Yeah, it's pardon me.
Sorry, he's very excited, ladies and gentlemen. In fact, when I watch Succession, I often get emotional, like Grant. While Grant is
brutal. Wow.
You all right, bud?
Yeah.
Did I almost lose you there, fella?
You almost lost me for a second.
I was ready to vamp, dude. I was kicking in. I was gonna go live and just go on a tangent.
That's the worst. Man, goddamn.
Do you need a moment? Because I can talk about a couple things about Succession.
Yeah, vamp for like 20 seconds.
So the best thing about Succession, and I haven't seen season 3, but if you are new to Succession, it's on HBO. There's 2 seasons out, obviously. Season 3 just premiered. The thing I love about Succession is that its premise is fairly simple. And I've tried to sell people on this show before, and they're like, oh, that doesn't sound very original. And it's like, yeah, so what? That's the point is that, like, it's not ultra original. It's just written and crafted so incredibly well, from production value to performances to the writing, that it's outstanding. It's the definition of a good show. It blows my fucking mind. Every actor on set is a heavy hitter.
Absolutely.
Writing for that show, production value, it's HBO for God's sakes. It does not miss. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, they must have been hit by some kind of COVID delay for season 3, right?
I think they were the first major announcement in the TV industry to be like the set was shut down.
Yeah, it's a pain in the ass. So it has been a little bit. So I'm definitely gonna have to watch like a season 2.
Oh, you know
recap.
What? Actually, that's one of the things I wanted to talk about. Is funny enough, they were back to back. Fire up HBO. Put it on like 5 minutes before the episode airs, kind of thing. And it was also kind of a nice feeling sitting there. I remember just looking to Leanna and going like, "There's like millions of people doing like waiting for this to start right now. Like so many people have eyes on the show. Like it's a really big deal. Like
It is.
People that mainly stay in the anime area, they don't really watch this other like live action stuff. Like I assure you, the show is a big fucking deal. And also it had a huge COVID. Like everyone found it during COVID. And like watched it over and over and over, and like so people are jacked and stoked and ready for the season. But they do this really shitty thing, and I would be shocked if this was like the trailer they released like 6 months ago when the season got announced or whatever. There was one point where like I was looking at it for like 15 seconds, and I had to turn my eyes away. I'm like, why the fuck are they showing me like major moments in this season?
Oh, they do like a little promo stinger before?
But, Dave, this went on for like almost 3 minutes.
Oh.
And I was like, I literally turned the volume down, and I looked to the end. I was like, okay, like, let's just look at something else.
It's like a what's coming this season kind of promo, but it's like, it sounds like they spoiled some shit.
It was just like, I had to like shut my brain off. I'm like, why like, I've seen moments between like certain characters that are going to be coming up, and the whole time I was watching the first episode, I was like, okay, well, it'll be interesting to see those two characters communicate, because clearly how they're talking about right now with one another. So it's, I was a little annoyed. So whatever, like that ends, you get the whole, welcome back HBO thing. Like it was nice, you get all fuzzy on the inside.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then they drop one of the most fucking effective season 1, season 2 recaps I've ever seen in a show. And I was like, well, okay, you fucking punched me in the face, but then you helped me out.
Yeah.
It was, but again, super effective. All the beats, all the major story beats, like really eloquently put out, and then it just naturally blends into the episode. It's this episode is like a fucking freight train. It does not stop. It's rampant, and this season is going to get out of control. It's very excited.
I'm so excited.
Oh, it's so good. I had no idea Sam was into it. I'm looking forward to also talking to Sam about that.
Yeah, it's like they're again, first world problems, but there are certain shows we watch together and other shows that we don't. And then the Venn diagram is, small-ish on the intersection. But I think we both have issues with, like, when we like something, we want to devour it. Right? So, like, we want... This is the show we save. There's, like, that in Line of Duty. And, I talked about it in a previous episode. Formula One Drive to Survive. Still so good. All made very well. Okay, Succession Season 3. Sounds like they got a hell of a pilot. Just watch out for the promo material.
Yeah, seriously. Like, hopefully, if anyone watches it, they're not gonna. This is clearly associated with the live broadcast, but I was just kind of taken aback. I was like, you motherfuckers!
No shit.
I was shocked. I was like, I've never seen HBO do that before. Like, I'm trying to think back to, like Boardwalk Empire and Game of Thrones, because those are the major HBO shows I watched, week to week. And I honestly don't remember them just giving away a whole fucking season. Yeah.
I mean, maybe they're feeling Warner Brothers is feeling the heat. They own HBO. HBO's probably, everyone's feeling the heat. Maybe they're experimenting with some aggressive promotion tactics just to see what happens. Kind of a dick move. But yeah, hopefully that's not like the new norm. And hopefully they don't replay that before every single episode.
I hope not. I really hope not. It was, yeah.
But I look forward to watching it. I will check it out this weekend, so I'll probably, we'll be able to chat about it a little bit before the post show. I might be a week behind you, just with airing, but anyway, we'll figure it all out.
We'll figure it out.
I think that about does it for this week. Okay. Thank you guys so much for listening. If this is your first time here, we drop this pretty much around the same time every week. Check, do all the social media things on the relevant social media platforms, like, comment, follow, subscribe. And next week, we will have a movie review out. If you are new here again, we're going to cover Demon Slayer Season 2, but the new arc doesn't really start until early December. So until then, we're doing a bunch of movie reviews. Most recently, we reviewed Paprika, and up next, Grant.
Your Name,
the international sensation, which somehow neither of us have seen, so we're coming into it completely blind and very excited to watch this one. So check it out next week, Your Name, and otherwise we will see you next time.
Bye guys.
Cheers.